Hello everybody, and welcome to Storm Reads, and it's time for the daily reading vlog. So good afternoon, it's getting close to noon, so I thought I'd pop on here before I go downstairs. And so last night I finished Little Nobody by Corey Merritt. It's the third book in the No Place for Monsters series, I think is what it's called. I got it like totally wrong the other day, but I think that's what it is. This one was not my favorite. I don't like being batted upside the head with certain issues and things. Like, I don't like to be preached to about certain things, and it just kind of felt like it kept whapping me every time I turned around, and I'm like, okay, I got it. And I had this issue with the book I just finished reading not that long ago, and so I'm like, and it just felt really different than the other two books. Even with the style and how it was written was a lot different, because you have the Little Nobody parts that I showed you, which was very flowery illustrated, I would say, I guess, and like the font was different, and then you had the kids in the school and everything there, and they were written a lot different and everything. It didn't. That's not how the other two books had been written, so it was just a little bit different in the style that way too, which was fine, because it was nice to have them separated out, so then you knew when the Little Nobody was a part of the story, and then when you had the other story. But it just felt like just a lot different than the other two stories. The other two stories were just spooky little stories, and I liked them. They weren't trying to preach to me. They were just spooky little stories. And the writing, the art style was, all of it was like the parts where it was just the kids and stuff, because I mean that's all there was. It was just a spooky story with them. It did have a little bit of what had happened in previous book, the first book, and everything with Levi and his sister, and the Bujin. I think that's what its name, the spooky character's name is. And so I do think you should start at the beginning and read the first one, as one should anyway, because you might be wondering about what happened to Levi and his sister and everything. I did like that it had Willow in it, who is this creature that looks like a mangy dog. I mean, it just looks like a dog who has seen better days and everything, but it's some kind of monster, and I can't remember what it's called. It's like a Hauja or Hyja or something. But anyway, I like Willow. Just I don't know, the thing looks pitiful, but I like the, I want to call it a mangy little dog, even though it's a monster. And so I finished that one, and like I said, it wasn't my favorite, but it was still enjoyable. If I'm going to rate it, personal rating, probably like 3.25, something like that. Then I worked a little bit on The Boy Who Could Fly by Carly Ann West, and I am now on page 126. I didn't really get very far into it. I wasn't in the mood to read. After I got done with Little Nobody, I was kind of done for the night. This morning, I've been trying to work on projects. I want to try to get ahead in my 2 on Tuesday, so that I can maybe batch film, and so then when I'm working on like researching them, I'm not feeling like I've got to get this done now so that I can make the video, so that I can get the video up, because that's kind of how it's been, and it stresses me out a little bit. So I'm hoping to make one of the videos today that I've got, and then find a couple of other books and maybe do the research on them, and then maybe film it later. And then if I'm like a couple ahead, then, you know, next week I can work on one of them, but it's going to be like for the one that's 3 weeks out. It's not going to be like I have to put this up now. And I'm hoping that will lessen a little bit of the stress of the 2 on Tuesday, because I like making them, but it does take me a while to like research out the authors, especially if they're under different names and things like that. And then it puts me down a rabbit hole, just looking at their books and looking at things and all that stuff. I can't put everything that they have accomplished in my 2 on Tuesday because I don't want them to be too long. So sometimes it's just fun to, like, you know, look at that stuff even though I'm not putting it in the 2 on Tuesday. Because I figure if somebody thinks that the authors are interesting enough, they can, you know, look them up themselves and everything. So I was doing that this morning. While I was doing some of that, even before that, when I was downstairs, I was doing some dishes and things like that. I started The Other Sister by Jessica R. Patch, which is my buddy read with Michelle, because we were going to start today, and we have it to where we'll do like 11 chapters a day. And the chapters aren't super long or anything, because I think I'm only like maybe a couple of hours into the audiobook, and I've done my like 11 chapters, and it looked like it was only like about a 10 to 11 hour audio, so it's not super long. And so I did that. I'm a little confused. It started off with a then, and then it kind of goes to like present day, and then it'll have a then, and then it has chapters that are present day, and then it'll have a then. I am a little confused on who is in the then. If it's the mother of these sisters, and it's kind of showing how she was like really way out there, or is it one of the sisters, like the other sister? Because there is something up with that other sister. I have a feeling that Charlotte is going to wish she never found out that she had a twin, or looked her up. I have a feeling. Grass isn't always greener on the other side. Anyway, it's confusing me a tad bit, but we're going to roll with it and see what happens. Because I feel like as we get into the story, it will start, you know. And then I feel like the then at the end is probably going to make more sense. So we're just going with it. And so after I got done with the chapters for The Other Sister, I went back to Watchers by Dean Koontz. And so I haven't gotten really far because, I mean, I probably only maybe got 5 or 6 pages done before I came on here. I am on page 134 of, is it 583? Or no, 483. And so, yeah, so not very far, but I'm chugging along. And we've had another incident with Nora and the skeevy dude. Can't remember his name, but he doesn't need to be named. He's a skeevy dude. And the dog, and then we went to Travis and the dog was really wanting Travis to contact Nora. Trying the best way he could with his intelligence of pointing out pictures of women and the phone and all that kind of stuff. And eventually he ends up going and finding Nora at her house, and the dog's scratching, trying to get in, and you could kind of hear some things, and then there was like a scream, and then you find out that that guy is in there in Nora's house, and, you know, she actually held her own pretty good, but then Travis and the dog got in there to kind of help out. The dog attacked the skeevy dude and everything, and so there is a little section in here where Nora and Travis went to dinner. So I told you, I thought maybe they were gonna, was gonna try to put them together in this story. She still doesn't really trust guys, but this is like kind of her first time going out to dinner and everything. So that was kind of fun. And then we have the local sheriff's department and some, I guess some NSA, maybe some people, they've found out about this West guy who was killed. And so they are trying to deal with that in a shh kind of way and not telling the county people really what's going on. It's national security or whatever. But the guy knows that he's pretty sure that the outsider has made it this far, which I'm guessing the outsider is what they call the creature. That not quite a man, but not quite an animal. So that's why I feel like I remember it being kind of like a Bigfoot type. It has claws and everything. So, yeah. So we're finally getting a little information about like the creature, but not like a whole lot. And that's the only time the creature's really been in the story, is whenever it attacked this poor guy that was out in the woods. And so, yeah. So we're trucking along on that. And I did pick out another audiobook, middle grade, and that is Another by Paul Tremblay. And I didn't really get into it. I picked it out last night, and I just barely listened to a little bit of it, and then I decided that I wasn't in the mood to do anymore. So, but that will be my middle grade book that I will be listening to when I'm not listening to one of these others. Okay, so, this clip is really long, so I'm going to get off of here and go get something to eat. Hey everybody, coming in for the last clip of the day. I didn't make a middle clip because I really didn't read. I was working on my 2 on Tuesday. I made the 2 on Tuesday. I edited 2 on Tuesday. And so yeah, so I didn't really read a whole lot because I was on my phone doing a lot of editing and things like that. And so I just skipped that. But while I was downstairs, I did manage to get some of Watchers listened to by Dean Koontz. And so I'm this far in there now. And so I am on page 162 of 483. They've introduced another character named Tracy, and how many characters are we going to have? I am going to lose track, and I'm probably going to wish I would have wrote them down. I don't know what she's going to add to the story, but it's a 13-year-old named Tracy. Not a whole lot has really happened, except for some of the same old with some of the characters and things like that. But I'm not bored. I am curious. I am interested, so that is always a good thing. So, there's that. Also, I got started a little late on trying to make some bread, and following along with this one guy and his beginner recipe, I think my other bread recipes that I had made, I think maybe I skipped a spot, and that might be why they were chewy and flat instead of puffy and good. So we're gonna hope that maybe this one comes out a little bit better, live and learn and all that kind of good stuff. And anyway, I forgot that it's going to have to like sit on the counter for like 4 hours or whatever. So I'll be going back downstairs at like 10 o'clock to get it ready to put in the refrigerator for tomorrow so that I can bake it tomorrow when I get home from church. Yay, fun. It's a good thing I don't go to bed till like about 11 o'clock anyway, so is what it is. So while I was downstairs doing the stretch and fold, waiting a half an hour, stretch and fold, waiting a half an hour type thing, I was listening to Another by Paul Tremblay, which is the middle grade book that I have on audio, and I'm 26% into it now. And it's a strange little thing. I'm not quite sure where it's headed or what it's doing, but this kid named Casey, it's kind of during the COVID time and everything. He had a bad Zoom call thing go, and he has kind of developed a little bit of a mental health issue, I'm guessing, because of the COVID and things. He's developed like a tic, and he just does some strange things. and everything, and he's kind of lost all of his friends. And his mom decides to get a rotary phone to put in their house because, you know, you never know when an emergency might happen and the cell phone towers are down and all that stuff, and she thinks that it's a good thing to have the phone. And so one day it rings, and Casey doesn't understand how it's ringing because the ringer was off. But there was somebody on the phone that says that Casey's little friend is going to be coming over, and Casey's like, okay, but he doesn't really know who would be coming over because he doesn't really have any friends. And then this kid, Morel, comes over, and his dad just kind of drops him there and pretty much says that, you know, he's going to be staying there for a while or whatever. And the parents don't even seem to question it. They're like, oh, okay. I didn't know he was going to be staying for that long, but okay. Really? What kind of parents are you? Because I know most parents would be like, hold up, I did not say that. He could come over for a few hours, but, you know. But so he's been staying there, and he's really kind of strange and acts really weird, and he has rules. The dad said he couldn't eat, and he doesn't need to be on a bed. And so it's like, okay, well, that's kind of cruel and unusual punishment is what I'm thinking, right? You know? They don't seem to really question it too much. It's kind of like, okay, really? You got a kid there and you're not going to try to feed it? I don't get it. But anyway. I think this kid is made out of something like clay or whatever, but he keeps having Casey draw things, and he seems to absorb those things that he draws, and it kind of gives him like facial expressions and other things he tries to mimic and tries to show him what he wants him to draw. And Casey knows there's something wrong with this kid and that he's a little bit strange and unusual. But at the same time, he doesn't have any friends, and it's kind of nice having somebody to hang out with, so he's just kind of going with the flow. But the parents, all of a sudden, have developed some kind of, like, allergen issues or whatever. The father was saying how he was, like, blowing his nose and, like, kind of, like, dusty clay stuff was coming out, like, or whatever. He's like, I must need to clean the vents or whatever it is. And I'm thinking, no, you've got a clay person in your house. So I don't know what that has to do with the kid, but I mean, it seems kind of strange that this kid is here. That's really strange. And all of a sudden the parents are having some weird problems, but we're going to go with the flow and we're going to see how it ends because I have no clue what's going to happen next. And so, if my bread turns out good, I will film it tomorrow. If you don't see any film tomorrow on the bread, you'll know it didn't go very well. Because tonight, what I'm going to do is I have to let it rise, and then I have to like shape it and then put it in my little proofing basket and then put it in the refrigerator so that I can bake it tomorrow. But I think the last time, I may have skipped the proofing 4-hour session. So, could have had a lot to do with the problems. So, we'll see how it goes. And I'm going to get off of here and maybe get some reading done while I'm waiting for that to happen. So, I hope you guys are having a great weekend, and I hope you continue to have a great weekend. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!